Don't cross the streams.
Why?
It would be bad.
I'm fuzzy on the whole good-bad thing. What do you mean bad?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and it's time for some DC Comics news and rumors, mostly news this time. And this information doesn't just come from one source this time. This has come from like 4 or 5 different articles. But here to talk with me about all this DC Comics news, including Harley Quinn, Batman, we got some other stuff in here, is my good friend Yul Carter. How you doing, buddy?
I'm wonderful. Looking forward to this.
All right, so, we got another announcement. We knew that DC Comics had made it a priority to invest in the digital realm. We had that Deceased tie-in story, came out digital only. We've had all these DC Giant stories kind of repurposed for digital first, and now we have Harley Quinn Black, White, and Red digital only that will be collected in trades eventually, but it's obvious that DC is sticking to their game plan, and they have a pretty big writer on that very first issue. Stepan Sajic just had a DC Black Label story with the same character. It's kind of a big deal.
Well, number one, great pronunciation of that name. I wasn't sure on that, and never have been. He's a great artist. I like him a lot. I mean, it's a little digital, so if you're not into that, I understand. And he has done a pretty good job putting together stories also. I don't really read some of his Top Cow books, but they seem to do pretty well. So, yeah, he's a good person to start off with Harley Quinn. I like that.
Yeah, it's not like they're just throwing Joe McFucknuggets on the Harley Quinn Black, White, and Red book. They're going for the big name guy that had the Black Label story that sold a lot with the same character. And obviously, we also heard fairly recently that Stepan was stepping away from traditional comics, was moving full on towards like web comics and digital comics. Anyway, what do you think about DC moving on with a Harley Quinn led book? For a DC digital first, I think it's a good strategy. But as a retailer, are you a little bit bummed that you don't get any opportunity to sell those wares in your store?
Well, I mean, if they do eventually collect it, I think that'll be a fine way to tackle it for stores. And Harley Quinn is a popular character, but she's not necessarily, lighting the charts on fire. The one thing,
needle mover that some people think she might be.
The thing about Harley Quinn is that I think nobody really knows, or everybody has a different interpretation of what Harley Quinn is. Maybe you're an animated fan, or maybe you liked it when the Dodsons did it. Maybe you like her removed from the DC universe a little bit more, or only with the Joker. And so there's a lot of different versions of Harley Quinn out there. And I don't think DC really knows what to do with her either. So actually, in a way, it's hiding her digitally. But you can also say we're putting our best foot forward with the main character, because she's definitely a main character. When you have people come in the comic store, they like the Joker and Harley Quinn, probably a lot of times more than they even like Batman, people that come in. So that's a good person to lead with digitally. I think that's a good, smart move. And since you don't have a direct goal and how you want to make her package her for the audience, having a bunch of different creators tackle it digitally is the way to go. I think that's a good move.
And it certainly reinforces DC's point that they have a priority on digital comics, going with as a DC digital release. And there's some interesting creators in there. I think Riley Rossmo is going to make his writing debut, but the big one I saw was Mirka Andolfo is going to be on there. I wonder if she's going to be the artist, because she and Harley would go together like peanut butter and jelly.
I think so too. I hope it's a super sexy story. If it is. She has written in the past, obviously. She's written Unnatural, which Image eventually published. I can't remember what country she's from, but she writes in her own language when she's doing comic books. So this is her first DC work as a writer, I think it is. Yes. If she's not illustrating it, I'm not as excited about it unless they have an equally talented artist working with her. But if she's doing the art, I think that should be a really good issue, definitely.
Yeah, I think that one might do pretty well. I know her recent Image Comics launch, Mercy, almost sold as many issues as the first issue of Decorum from Jonathan Hickman. And,
really,
as a comic book reader, you don't think maybe she's a needle mover, but that kind of there, like I was like, wow, Like she can move some books on name alone because it is Mirka Andolfo's Mercy. Like she's the headline on that bad boy.
Sure thing. I think she's a real talent artistically. She has a sensibility that you don't see from a lot of people in comics. And I think Harley Quinn's a perfect, again, since Harley Quinn she's not really grounded in any one style. This should be a good test for her taking on a major property, if you will.
Should be pretty exciting. I think it was a smart move on DC's part. So moving on to the next topic, there was a tweet that went out from DC Nation that it basically says that Joker War is going to be the final chapter in the showdown between Joker and Batman. I'm calling shenanigans on this one, Yul. Do you believe that shit?
Yeah, right. Until the next writer starts up, and at the end of their run, they'll have another Joker something probably. And then if they had a moratorium on Joker in Batman, like even for 2 or 3 years, I don't think that'd be a problem at all. But I guarantee we'll see a Black Label version of it, or an Elseworlds story, or just an annual recapping something that happened in the past. So we will not have Joker for a long time.
Well, Joker and Batman. It's supposed to be the last show. Yeah. Joker and Batman.
All right, I see. So they're going to kind of do a Kingpin with him and move him over to Daredevil or something.
I don't believe it.
No, me either.
It's like, oh, you're going to have the last Superman Lex Luthor story too? Like, get out of here with
that. No, that's not going to happen. No, I don't believe it.
Yeah, I don't believe it either, though. But it did get me thinking. Like, if they're saying this is the final showdown between Joker and Batman, yeah, it doesn't appear to me that James Tynion is killing off Bruce Wayne anytime soon. Like, I'm almost half expecting Joker to be dead at the end of this big story arc. Wouldn't that be crazy?
Yeah, I mean, if you are saying that and you want people to believe it, then that's probably a good way to end something. Of course, we're talking about superheroes and comic books and mainstream comic book superheroes. Death doesn't usually last that long, or it's not permanent, as we've seen in the past. So no matter what happens, again, I'm sure we'll see Joker and Batman together again.
Yeah, I'm calling shenanigans on that one. There was also an interview recently with Batman group editor Ben Abernathy, who came on in the series in October. So he's basically been there with Tynion about the whole time. And he had a few quotes that I do want to talk about just to see what you think about him as well. One of the interesting things, I have been critical of the Batman run because I was like, it seems like all the emphasis is on gadgets in Batman right now, and it kind of detracts from the character. And this is what I was surprised he addressed it. This is what he had to say. He's got 3D printers building all of this stuff, but in some ways, that's not who Batman is at his core. He's not defined by the gadgets or the toys that he has, and that will come into play a lot in Joker War as well. So I'm imagining they're talking about, Joker is taking all of his wealth, so he's going to be stripped of all these gadgets. So I do think maybe James Tynion was throwing all the gadgets in there to show how Batman was relying on them, so he could take them away and kind of show that Batman is at his core the world's greatest detective, and certainly more than capable of going out on his own and being a world-class superhero.
Yeah, that's the thing about the Tom King run. He really tried to make, well, except for the romance angle, it seemed like in the very beginning especially, he really tried to make Batman more of a superhero, and he wasn't really concentrating on all that other, detective. And during that time, the detective comics had the group, the family, the Batman family, and I've been missing the Batman detective stories for quite a while. In fact, I think that's what most people like about Batman. They say that he's a guy, he's the guy that anybody could become, as far as a superhero. And yeah, there's that whole planning idea that he can beat anybody if given enough time. And that's where the gadgets kind of play in sometimes. I think it's just like, again, a moratorium on the Joker, a moratorium on his, gadgets would not be it wouldn't be a bad move at all. Get this guy down to the core of who he is and let new readers grow with that again. So it's kind of like a retcon within, it's a not retcon. And you can grow with the character again. He can get a gadget here and there, but street level. That's what he's all about. Keep him street level.
Yeah, Tinian was introduced in a lot of new gadgets. It was like a bat wing, a bat train. I think he got shot out of a fucking rail gun. There's some weird mystery like balls that were making bat shadows that were scaring people, and I was like, this is ridiculous. But apparently that was all by design. So when they took it all away and they stripped him down to his core, he could get back to the core, the essence of the character. So I'm hoping that is true, because I would like that a lot, because I was getting fed up with the bat gadgets. Let's move on to the next quote I wanted to talk about. And this is where he was kind of talking about Punchline, the new character in Batman. It's certainly been a huge hit with readers. And he said, "What we learned from the origin in Joker 80th is that she discovered through social media this ideology of the Joker, and it was something she was drawn to and was radicalized on the internet towards the Joker. We have more plans with the character going forward, and it'll be a study upon society today." I thought her origin was really boring, but now that I find out that she's been radicalized by the internet, there are certainly writers that I think can handle material like this and do it well. Tinian's probably one of them, but like the dark web again, the dark web. Oh my goodness.
I agree. You're kind of like lifted. You're like, oh yeah, what's this character all about? And then it's like, yeah, it's the internet. It's radicalized. It feels very Al Qaeda, or whatever it's being called now.
But that's the problem. I don't think it'll be it won't be really Al Qaeda. I think it'll be more like today's political climate. Everyone thinks is radicalized.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean it's all. Yeah, well.
Way to deflate my interest in your big character that you just introduced.
Yeah, I think that's what I don't know. Like you said, Tinian can write, and I think he'll give the proper consideration that's needed to make this an okay history. But it is underwhelming, I feel. I don't.
A metaphor for Twitter or Facebook.
Yeah, see, that's why I would rather it be something a little farther back than that. Than something that's so today. I mean,
like a metaphor for MySpace?
Yeah, there you go. Maybe OnlyFans or something like that. No, but I don't know. The internet has been a device that's been used for a long time now, for about 20 years. I hope we I hope we could get eventually out of that, but it reeks of internet gas is what it really does.
Okay, let's move on to the last quote that he had, and this was talking about Joker fatigue. And I gotta say, I am not in agreement with Ben Abernathy on this one. He says he was this character that, publishing wise, we hadn't done a lot of Joker content with. In a lot of ways, it came naturally as James was already building in that direction, talking about Joker War. To me, I didn't feel like there was a lot of Joker fatigue. From my perspective, there's a ton of Joker content that's come out last year. He's been all over Black Label. Of course, he just had his 80th anniversary issue, which I think he was talking about in that portion of the interview as well. But I just don't see Joker as being a character in DC publishing that has been underutilized.
No, not at all. And also he mentions the movie that came out. It probably... there might not be fatigue, but there's definitely overexposure of the character. It's like I said earlier, when people come in the store and they like Batman, a lot of times, a lot more than you would think, it's because they like the Joker, they like Harley Quinn. It's not even like in the entirety of the Rogues Gallery. They just like Joker. And I mean, he's had his own series before, this is a character that is not.
Oh yeah, I mean, he killed Lois Lane, I believe, right?
Don't know that one.
Pretty sure he did. So it's not like he's been confined to Batman. He certainly has his own tentacles out in the DC Comics universe, and he's had a large impact.
I personally. I have Joker fatigue. I have Batman fatigue. If you shelve it all the time as much as I do, and you see all the different titles, all the different miniseries, all the different one-shots, a Secret Files, this and that, it can be very difficult. And you see how much Joker there really is, and it's out there. He's been in Justice League this whole time since the Scott Snyder run also. They have all villain issues, and you see the Joker, in it.
And Joker Killer Smile. You've had Harley Joker.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was in the Harley miniseries.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Even if he's not in a Harley series, that's a Joker series. You're always expecting the shoe to drop and like the Joker will show up. And maybe that's the good thing about that Punchline character, by the way. Now we can actually divorce Harley from Joker, and she can actually stand on her own for once and final, maybe.
Yeah, as long as they don't try and treat her like she's a hero.
Right.
She's a mass murderer, whether you want to admit it or not.
Yeah, well, they got to figure out what they want.
They do need to figure out what they want. There's a lot of people upset with them, especially over the Harley Quinn Ivy stuff.
Oh yeah. We weren't even supposed to talk about that. That one's crazy.
There's some hate. There's some hate going around on that one. So it was an interesting read. Obviously, there will be a link in the video description if you want to go check out the entire interview. He talks about a lot of stuff about Joker War and stuff in there. But those are the three things that I thought were interesting. Was there anything in that interview that you wanted to talk about before we moved on?
No, I think I'm pretty excited about it though. There's a lack of really big important stories going on, and this article was good, and it made me think like they've got a plan.
Big plans.
Exactly. It feels good that a company isn't just winging it, and this doesn't feel like that at all.
So one of the last articles we're going to talk about. Batman 3 Jokers from Jeff Johns and Jason Fabok. I'm super excited about this. This might be the Batman story I'm even more excited about than Joker War, because I think there's only going to be 3 or 4 issues rather than like 27 to get through the whole story. And we do have DC finally debuted some images of some Jason Fabok premium variant covers for Batman 3 Jokers. They all look phenomenal. There's going to be 9 of them in total. We've only seen 6 so far. What are your just initial thoughts on these variant covers? Are you going to be ordering to be able to get your hands on these bad boys?
Yeah. So I have customers that buy alternate covers anyway. So this is a good thing for me. It's a good thing for them because they like this stuff. And it's 9 variant covers, but it's 3 per issue. So I think it's so that's 3 how it's going to work. Yeah. So that's wonderful. 3 Jokers, 3 issues, 9 covers. That makes sense.
Well, yeah. It's going to be in that Black Label Premium Plus format, so it's going to be even bigger. So
yeah,
it's something like if you want to buy something, you want something badass on the cover,
Yeah, definitely. And again, this whole thing, Joker's very popular. When people come into the comic store, a lot of times it's just for Joker, and to get something like this should be it should please a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's been we've been building this for like 5 years. It feels like it won't be in continuity now that it's on DC Black Label, which is a bit unfortunate. I really wish that Jeff Johns' original vision for Rebirth would have actually come to fruition. It feels like he got about halfway there before they shut him down. But I'm pretty excited about this. Jason Fabok's a great artist. Just all the stuff that he's put out about 3 Jokers just looks amazing. And I might be a hypocrite because we were just talking about is there Joker fatigue, but this is one. It doesn't matter. This one transcends Joker fatigue, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, yeah, we were both saying that. Look, just because one thing's true doesn't mean the other thing isn't either.
Absolutely.
If something's good, I mean, hey, I don't have Jeff Johns fatigue. He hardly does anything anymore. Same thing with the artist. It's going to be big. It's going to be awesome covers. It's going to be 9 different Joker covers. And it continues from past stories that are or aren't in continuity. I don't even know if that matters anymore. So yeah, this is a good thing. I'm all right for it. Let's do it.
All right, so the last thing we're going to talk about real quick is we know that DC Comics kind of started this DC Connect like online previews catalog, but they've also kind of gotten rid of their physical previews that would normally be at your comic shop where you could go in there, you would mark all the comics you wanted, you give them to your retailer, and then basically that would go into your pull box. But they've replaced it with like a digital checklist poster where people can go in and they can see the previews on DC Connect. Fill it out, fold it up, take it into your retailer. Do you see anything lost without having the physical copies? Do you think this is a step in the right direction? Is this going to confuse people?
No, I think this is the step in the right direction. We're trying to be more paperless, right? We're talking about digital, and anything that gets people going back to the site to see what's going on. And if they fill out the paperwork and give it to your store, then they're going to be happy to get all that information without having to harangue the customer. I know when you go in and you're buying and you don't know if somebody wants something. So here we go, store's perspective. We have the Joker War, and it's going to cross over with a bunch of other titles. You don't know. Sometimes people are strange. They will only buy the Batman book. They will not buy Nightwing. They won't buy Detective for whatever reason. That's just the way it goes. So when you let them know that, you have to be, as a store owner or an employee, let people know that it's going to cross over, and are they going to want this stuff? So if it's being advertised for people, and I think it's a good advertisement style, and there's going to be like a physical poster in the store also, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, that all sounds good. We covered a lot of DC topics here. Do you have anything else you need to say before we said say la vie?
No, just go buy some Batman, obviously.
Yep, and support AEW wrestling.
That's right.